This guy can take your blood and your DNA and tell you when you're going to die. And he's right within a month.
False! That's a scam. Dana, brother, I love you. I'm friends with Dana. Dana's awesome. I've spent a lot of time with Uncle Dana. Dana is awesome, but Dana got scammed. Number one scam. Dana got scammed.
The UFC is not known for partnering with the most reputable brands. Their advertisers span from gambling companies based out of sheds, hydration drinks created by YouTubers with a sketchy past, and a recent beer company trying to revive their brand after some questionable marketing decisions. But is their new grift the worst one yet? Well, let's take a look. On a recent episode of Joe Rogan, he had on a man named Gary Brecka, a human biologist with a health biohacking style company. But what caught my eye was this episode, Joe did not seem particularly questioning of Gary's health claims. Joe's an inquisitive guy, but for some reason, it seems as though he took Gary's word for everything, and at some point in the podcast, even dumbed himself down, pretending he didn't know about statins. As a longtime listener of Joe Rogan, the guy talks about statins every 5 minutes. He knows what they do. So why is he acting like this? Well, Gary Brecka is a friend of Dana White, who is UFC president and longtime friend of Joe Rogan. It doesn't seem like a coincidence that Dana White is going on a press tour shilling for Gary Brecka and 10x Health Systems. Then Gary gets invited on Joe Rogan, and Rogan spends a 2.5-hour podcast praising this guy like he's the next coming of Jesus.
Amino acid. So you need all, at minimum, all 9 of the essential amino acids.
Do you have all this stuff for sale on your site?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
I'm about to place an order. So
Joe Rogan's becoming my client now.
So when you take that stuff,
10x Health Systems is not an official sponsor of the UFC, but watch this next clip where Dana White is on the UFC's official YouTube channel out there promoting 10x Health Systems with Gary Brecka.
So, there are a bunch of people online saying, oh, this is this is that. Why would I lie? What do I care? You know what I mean? And why would I ever be a part of a scam? I would never. Those of you that don't want to do this, don't do it. Nobody's asking you to do this. Nobody's trying to make you do this. Do whatever you want. Stick with your doctor and good luck to you. But I'm going to tell you.
Whoa, kind of seems like you do care, Dana. Nothing I love more than a salesman yelling at me to trust them and buy their product or else. Now, why is Dana White already getting accused of scamming? Or at the very least, falling for this scam? Well, probably because this guy's pitch sounds like every other health guru's fake promises of the fountain of youth. The only thing left to be identical is to claim you're 100% natural. During the JRE podcast, Gary Brecka makes a whole host of outrageous claims. Take this vitamin to cure your depression, use this red light bed to fix your eyesight, reverse your aging with this diet. The only original claim is the fact that he's claiming he can predict the month you're going to die. Forget the fact that that's probably impossible to prove this guy wrong or right for that. But would you look at that? Gary Brecka sells all of the solutions. Now, this guy may be the genius Dana claims him to be, but how did he blow up so fast? How did he get all of these connections? Who's the man behind his company? That 10x name sounds kind of familiar.
Right here, the 10x Health System. Well, let's explain what the 10x Health System is. The 10x Health System is, boom, this Uncle G right here. Grant Cardone is the co-founder of the 10x Health System.
That's right. The man behind 10x Health System is no other than Grant Cardone, alleged scammer and fake guru. He's been under investigation for defrauding his investors multiple times now, and he's responsible for giving us great career advice like this.
You're down, a guy's sitting there right now watching this thing. I got my last grand, dude, and I got Christmas coming. Should he spend it on this?
Absolutely. What? These guys, these little sharks, are selling, and it's an appropriate word because they will eat you alive if you let them. They're selling a $1,000 product that gets you Damon on Demand, Rise and Grind by Damon John, and a 10x Growth Con ticket. And they're saying if you have $1,000 left to your name, bankrupt yourself to buy this product. Now,
Yes, that's right. Give him your money instead of buying Christmas gifts for your kids. But listen, don't take my word for it. Let's see what the former CEO of T-Mobile, John Legere, thinks of Grant Cardone and how reputable he may be.
Problem with your story, Grant. Why are you trying to diminish everybody in the room?
No, just you, Grant, because you're a fucking
why are
con
you-
man. I'll say this on this room right now. I believe that in the next year, Grant Cardone will be found guilty of fraud. I believe that Grant Cardone will be found guilty of fraud, and I want...
Looks like John Leisure isn't buying his shtick. Grant is best known for flaunting his wealth, making wild claims about finances, selling thousands of dollars in those courses, and throwing huge events called 10x GrowthCon. But fraud? Well, Grant has been accused of stealing upwards of $100 million from his investors at Cardone Capital. Take a look at this.
Between September 2016 and December 2019, Grant Cardone purchased 13 deals that he then sold to his Cardone Capital investors. And depending on which purchase price you want to use for each property, whether we're talking about the actual purchase price that Grant Cardone actually paid, or the false inflated purchase price that Grant Cardone told his investors that he paid, the total purchase price of the 13 properties was between $1 and $1.1 billion. Grant Cardone and Cardone Capital does not disclose the actual purchase price of these properties to Cardone Capital investors. And the
Now listen, people of such high stature usually get accused of a lot. To be fair, he hasn't been convicted of anything. But let's take a deeper dive into what makes Grant Cardone tick. What does he base his morals and values on? Let's see if he seems like a trustworthy guy.
Okay. And there's a lot of stories about Scientology. There's documentaries. There's just a lot of information that's going back since like the 80s. What made you become a Scientologist?
I read the book Dianetics when I was 25 years old, right out of a treatment center. And that book helped me understand why I was using drugs so much and actually helped me in my recovery process. Then I went and did, when I was 45 years old, I actually had an experience because of a friend of mine that had been studying Scientology. He was a bond trader, and he was one of the most successful bond traders in the United States. And I'm like, hey, what, you seem different than everybody else I meet. And he's like, well, if you want to know what it is, I'll tell you. I said, well, what is it? He said, it's Scientology. I said, well, where is it? When is it? And how can I get some of it?
Grant Cardone, the man behind 10x Health Systems and Gary Brecka's partner and co-founder, is a known Scientologist and one of their biggest contributors. Scientology, created by a sci-fi novelist L. Ron Hubbard, has been rightfully demonized by many in the media, shedding light on its occultish behaviors. The odd thing is that Joe Rogan is one of the leading voices in the podcast world that's spoken out against Scientology. At the very least, he's been giving a platform to almost all of the key figureheads in media who have attempted to out Scientology as a dysfunctional cult. Joe Rogan's had on Louis Theroux, Lawrence Wright, two documentarians who have covered this bizarre topic. He's also had on Leo Ramini from The King of Queens, a former Scientologist and now their biggest detractor, as well as Ron Miscavige, the new leader's own father who's been speaking out against the cult. He even explains how he literally had to escape from them in a car chase. Given someone with this level of insight on the cult of Scientology, it seems odd Joe would ignore this fact when interviewing Gary Brecka. It seems relevant to the conversation, especially when Joe talks about members of the Church of Scientology in this way. Here, take a look.
I have a hot take on Scientology. I drive by the creepy-ass Scientology Center in LA now, and I'm like, you know what? I'm glad anyone that thinks that's a good idea is in a building, is just, they've got them, they stay in there. What would the people that think Scientology is a good idea to subscribe to be doing if Scientology was not available to, like, be the cult that they're a part of?
They would like join the Moonies or something. I had Miscavige's dad on, who escaped in a car chase, left the compound to get away from his son and Scientology.
And the fact that they still have they don't pay taxes.
That's the wildest thing. Is like that guy, L. Ron Hubbard, who created Scientology, was a science fiction writer who is the most prolific author in human history because that motherfucker never wrote a second draft. His work is so bad. I mean, that was Hemingway's famous quote, the first draft of everything is shit.
Now, why would Joe Rogan have this guy on with known connections to Grant Cardone, a known Scientologist? Well, in my opinion, Dana White is most likely receiving tons of financial incentive, and Joe Rogan is helping out his longtime friend. Full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of the UFC, Dana White, and Joe Rogan. I also love diving into the biohacking community and trying out these sorts of things. And to be fair, I don't know if the science behind it works. Science may very well be legit, but this is a tough one to believe when the co-founder is an alleged fraudster, with a reputation as a scammer, a known Scientologist, and the current sales pitch just flat out sounds like snake oil. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Is this enough to deter you, or are you still interested in the 10X health system? I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you so much, and thank you for hearing me out. Peace.